In Hong Kong right now with Holden Chow. Holden, a lawmaker there in Hong Kong and the vice chairman of the DAB, that is the Democratic Alliance for the Betterment and Progress of Hong Kong, which is the largest pro-Beijing party. It is good to have you here on the show. Thank you.
Thank you, George.
So, citing clashes with police, citing disruptions in these different districts, the disruptions to daily life, your group has proposed taking a more aggressive approach at addressing these protests. Tell us more about that.
Well, I think, first of all, it's sad to see the violence erupted in Hong Kong over the past few weekends. And many people here have grave concerns. For example, people worry that how the business could continue to operate. It will cause harm to the economy. It would also cause some harm to the daily lives of people. I think we do respect peaceful demonstration as usual because we have the right to have a freedom of assembly, this guarantee under our mini constitution, the basic law. But people don't accept the violence. And as you may see that over the past few weekends, violence erupted throughout the city, and we don't want to see that carry on. And if that goes down, that people decide to go down that path, I think that will eventually ruin the entire city. So I think we do, first of all, to urge the people to step back and think and calm down. And this is not the right way to carry on, I mean, for the violence.
Earlier in the week, there was a warning from China's military which increased the worry that they could intervene in these protests. Is that something that you would like to see?
Well, I don't think the PLA would come in and deal with the demonstrations or the violence in Hong Kong because we trust that the Hong Kong police is able to deal with the entire situation. And of course, under the one country, two systems, we have our Hong Kong government and our Hong Kong police to deal with the situation. So I don't think the PLA would come in and deal with the situation here. And but what I would say is, of course, right now we see the angry crowd, and we have always been urging the public to step back and think and calm down because even if you have a very righteous motive, if you decide to carry on with all those violence, eventually it will ruin the entire city. And of course, it will cause a tension between Hong Kong and central government to escalate. And that is not a very robust way to deal with the problem, isn't it?
Look, many pro-democracy protesters, they don't trust leadership. They're concerned about, what leadership tells them. Is there a way, do you think, that there could be a meeting in the middle here for people to feel that their voices are being heard, despite the risks that they're seeing there in the streets?
Well, I can understand the people are very angry, and they have already expressed some demands. For example, they would demand a sort of investigation into the police conduct. But what I would assure you is right now we have a mechanism in Hong Kong to conduct a sort of thorough investigation into police wrongdoing, which is called the IPCC. This is a platform to carry out investigation into police conduct, which has already begun. So that's one thing. And the second thing is when the protesters, they call for another platform to deal with the investigation on police conduct, the difficulties for the government is even if the government decide to sort of make concession there or take on board their advice, because there are no leaders in this movement. So there's no negotiation, as nobody could assure that even if the government take on board that advice, would that be able to pacify the angry crowd? So the protest could actually could actually carry on. So I think that's a difficulty the government is facing. There's no leaders in this movement, so there's nobody for the government to identify, to engage, and perhaps to establish a robust dialogue.
You know, there are some officials who have reportedly suggested that pro-democracy protesters are strategically staging these demonstrations in districts where people will be voting in upcoming elections. Is there a concern among your group that you could lose seats with people expressing their discontent with what's happening and with the government's handling of it?
Well, I have no idea on the strategy presented by the protesters, but what I care is, I think for the time being, everyone in Hong Kong, they have concern on how we're going to solve this problem. It's not about election, it's not about something happen at the end of this year, which is the election, but which is people are very concerned about how to move on, how to deal with this problem. I think people don't expect the government sitting on its hands. But at the same time, I think one of the ways to deal with that is we would urge the government to at least establish some dialogues with different people, at least to have the dialogue to sort of mend the rift within the society. So that is one thing the government could do.
Chow, with perspective for us again, the Vice Chairman of the DAB. We appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you.